And we're back. Sorry I took such a long break. It's been a crazy time. You know, I've mentioned it a little bit before that I've had custody issues, and um, right when I stopped was like right after I had filed and had to go to court, and it was just super awful and triggering and really intense. So for the last, I don't know, 5, 6 months, I've just been in a pretty bad hole. And the court stuff, for the most part, for now, is resolved, and it's like right away, instantly kind of lifted out of it. Um, Things went good for the most part. I'm, just trying to make things better for my son, and it's getting better for my son. One thing that's really, really, really amazing, uh, that is not necessarily directly about my son, is for 2 years I've been fighting to get my dog back. And now it's not perfect yet, but I have her every other week. Come here, Lumpia. Come here. Meet Lumpia. Yip, yip. This is Lumpia. Hi, baby. I know you can't see this if you're listening, but if you watch on YouTube at PORB Podcast, you can see my beautiful 9-year-old, 80-pound overweight husky pit. Hello, baby. Hello. So I have her now every other week, and it's amazing. And yeah, she loves it. She's finally getting taken care of and love and on a little diet. She's a big girl. Yeah. And she thinks she's a tiny little dog, but she's not. She's a great big dog. And every time I sit down at my desk, she jumps up in my lap, which is neat. And most of the time she comes all the way up, but she's tired or something. You want to come up? Come on up. Come on up. Let's go. Up. Yip, yip. Yip, yip. Yip, yip. She needs help now because she's old. All right, go on. Get away. I'm working. So anyway, that's been amazing. I forgot what it was like. I haven't lived with her for 2 years. I've been trying to get her back for that long. And I forgot what it was like to live not just with the dog, but with when my son leaves, I'm alone. I've always been alone, so I never really think about it. Like my whole life is like that. But I guess I didn't. I don't know, I took for granted, or I just didn't think about that loneliness feeling. And when my son leaves, it's bad. I crash really hard. The few days that I'm without him every week is intense. Yeah, really, really bad. And when Lumpia's home, it's just amazing. I forgot how beautiful and therapeutic and just incredible it is to have her home. And I raised her as a puppy, and now she's this big, beautiful dog. And I missed her so much. And just in the efforts of trying to get her back for so long, you don't really consider or feel what it's like to have that person or have that entity, or I don't know. There's some disconnect as you're working towards something. You don't necessarily think about how you feel when you have it or don't have it. That's not the point anymore. But now that I at least have her every other week, it's amazing. It was like instantly this huge hole was filled. From the time my son spends with his mom to when I pick him up again, there's this massive gap. And now it's filled with a great big stinky dog. She's not stinky. I bathe her like twice a week. It's early. Not that early. It's 9. But so I'm drinking coffee, so I apologize for the coffee drinking sounds if you're listening on iTunes. Speaking of iTunes, if you are listening on iTunes, please rate and review and subscribe. And then tell other people about your favorite podcast, PORB. PORB. And if you also want to see my beautiful face and my beautiful dog, who is named after a small Filipino egg roll, you can subscribe on YouTube at PORB Podcast. There you go. And so other than that, well, the hits always just keep on coming in my life. The day so that the last court date was on Friday, the 5th of April. Pardon me. And then the next day, I get a text message. It's so fucking stupid. I get a text message that one of my best friends growing up, we hadn't seen each other in a while, but really significant person in my life, died suddenly. Here's the thing. If you're going to tell anyone that someone has died, someone that they know, like if it's important enough to tell that person, call them. Who the fuck texts somebody that somebody died? And this was the text. No precursor, no hey, hello, nothing. Just Jason passed away, motorcycle accident. That's it. And then this person sent pictures of the accident. I guess the news came and they took pictures. So I had to, again, unprompted, like, hey, there are pictures. Do you want to see them? I don't know. But he just sent them. So I had to see my brother dead on the concrete with his motorcycle next to him. Yeah, don't do that. That's fucking crazy. And this is an older person. This is not like a kid who doesn't know how things work. I mean, this guy is 50-something. He knows better. He grew up in a time before social media where you actually had to call people to tell them things. And what a shitty way, like impersonal and no empathy or concern. And someone made the argument to me that, like, well, he's distraught. Then don't go around telling people. What's the purpose then? Fuck all of that. I don't give a shit. That was a really awful way to learn that, one of your brothers has died. So yeah, if somebody dies, call them, not the dead person. Call the person you're going to tell and talk to them. One of my friends called me, and then I called one of my friends. That's how you should do it. You should talk to people. And then someone called me, who was like a mother figure to me growing up, and we don't speak anymore. We had a falling out years back, and even she knew to call and to try to comfort, and it was really big, and I appreciate it. It wasn't I don't have any animosity or anything toward her, but we're just, life works like that sometimes. But that's what you should do. Call people. Don't text important shit. It's fucking absurd. So he passed away, which sucks. He was a good man. Jason was super funny and talented, and freakishly talented. One of those people who could just do shit. We were in a band together growing up, but we were friends before that. He's a guitar player as well, and just instantly could just do, if he read something or you showed him something, he could just do it very well and then better than you quickly. My band in growing up, we had fired our singer, and then we were looking for another singer, and then we were hanging out with Jason. We were like, hey, can you sing? He's like, I don't know. And then the motherfucker could just sing, pardon me, like really well. Like, it was like a rock band, blues-based rock band. So it was like, Robert Plant, Steven Tyler-ish type of singing. And he could also do like a Chris Cornell-ish. He had that type of quality to his voice as well. And he could just fucking sing. And then one day it was like, man, it would be cool if we had like a harmonica player. And we asked just, can you play harmonica? He's like, no. So we just put a harmonica in his hand, and then he could play harmonica. It was really fucking weird. But he was one of those guys. And for all those talents, he was also, a troubled person. Drugs and just getting his life kind of together was a struggle, but incredibly sweet. And those two qualities don't often go together, troubled and sweet. Usually it tends to be more one or the other. But he was incredibly sweet and kind and considerate, even though, he was flaky for sure, but just a really beautiful person. And unfortunately, he had just had a baby. I haven't met his child or girlfriend or wife. Like I said, we hadn't spoken in a while. So that's hard. And I can't imagine that. But anyway, he was a good man. I think one of the guys in the band uploaded a bunch of songs on Spotify. If you go to Spotify and look up Jason Char, Char, you'll find a bunch of music that he did. Some of it's his music, some of it's music that he did in our band in 2001 or whatever the hell it was, a long time ago. And then some other, another band he was in with some of those guys, I think. Anyway, it's all rough stuff, but you can hear it, and I listened to some of it. It was nice. He's a good man. So anyway, to Jason. Other than that, I don't know. I've been doing a lot of music, really pushing to get this fucking album finished. It's basically done. It's just mixing and mastering at this point, which is not my strong suit. So I'm really fumbling through it, learning a lot. It's getting way better. I just basically redid all of the mixing and mastering as I learned better ways to do it. And then I went back and listened to the stuff I did, the mastering a month ago or the mixing a month ago, and it's fucking night and day. So it's way better. I'm super critical on myself, really harsh, but I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I'm taking this long to get the process right, because I'm already writing for the next 2 records, but they'll go way smoother because this whole process has been crazy big transition and learning. And I haven't made music in 10 years, so it's been a lot to kind of ramp back into, but I'm happy with it for the most part. And most artists, I hate that term, but most artists, you can relate to there's a cycle to creating things where you're inspired, and then what you're doing you feel is amazing, it's the best thing that's ever existed, and then it kind of stales and you are just kind of pushing through the work aspect of it, and then you start to hate it, and then you'll have a day where fuck no, this is great, and then it's right back to this is the worst, I'm the awful, nobody likes me, this is going to be a horrific mistake, and whatever. That's a process everybody goes through. So if you're considering making something, or you are making something and you're going through that, just keep going, just put it out. It's better to have work out there than nothing. And just, you can work on one album or one movie or one book or whatever for your entire life. You can spend 70 years building something and never putting it out and never finish it because you constantly tweak it. So just, it might not be perfect, or it might be perfect, and then later you go back and you're like, ugh, what was I thinking? But just fucking put it out. So I'm at that stage. I'm ready to put it out. I just need to finish some of this mixing and mastering so I can do it. But I'm there. I'm in the building, and the room is nearby. So I'm right there. I've been talking about this record for a while, so it's coming out. I'm shooting for August, and yeah, I'm super excited, man. I like it. It's not, the direction I'm going now is different, so it's hard to work on something that you've already emotionally or mentally moved on from, but you need to finish it. So it's interesting to do that, but I'm really excited. It's heavy indie rock stuff. There's elements of everything I like in there, indie rock stuff with heavier rock and metal elements in it, and I'm super excited, man. It's nothing really like the record I did, the last record, which was 10 years ago from Gooby Goo and Peekers. Stupid band name, but we never thought we would do anything with it, and we ended up releasing a record. It was my best friend and I and we toured on that record. Gooby Goo and Peekers, the album is called My Stomach Can Hold Up to 150 Pounds of Food, which is I'll share where that comes from another time. I have to get a thing. But that's on iTunes. You can buy that if you like, alternative indie rock, like kind of cute, melancholy, experimental stuff. Go buy that and rate and review that too. And just support me. Support your boy. I'm so nice. And I have a big fat dog, and that's cool. And you can support her. Some of that money will go to buying her food, which she needs to maintain that mass, bro. So that's basically what I've been doing. And in the process of packing up this house that I'm living in now and looking for another place closer to my son's school, that was always the plan. My timeline got moved up due to the court stuff. So I was thinking of end of the year or next year, but it's going to be sooner, within the next 6 months or so. So that's what I'm looking closer out that way. You don't need to know where it is. Anyway, just further east in LA, or in Los Angeles County rather. I don't know, seen some good movies. I haven't talked about it. I was late to the party, but I've been watching Spider-Verse. It's fucking amazing. I talked about this on my other podcast with one of my best friends, Brian Williams, called The Bombcast, which is on iTunes. Go subscribe and rate and review that too. And there we usually talk about like more geeky shit that we're into: comics, movies, games. We talk about some, life stuff too. But oftentimes it's, music, comics, games. He's really into wrestling, so we talk about that a little bit. Don't be turned off. I'm not into wrestling at all, but it's still interesting to talk about it. So yeah, Spider-Verse is amazing. Game of Thrones has been amazing. I just saw Infinity War, the Endgame, and it was good. All the Marvel movies are just, they're good. Some of them aren't great, some of them are good, and there's a couple great ones. I don't feel this was one of the great ones. It's one of the good ones. It's a good one. But there are a couple moments where it is great. I won't give anything away if you haven't seen it. But shit, there are a couple moments where, as a lifelong comic fan and someone who's still, even though I'm really burnt out on the kind of just the mediocrity they've been putting out, I'm still amazed that this is the time we're living in where, as a kid, this shit wasn't like this, and you had to really look to find stuff, and it was an embarrassment where people would look at you embarrassed as you were a comic fan. And honestly, even though people love these movies, there's still a weird stigma around comics when you say, like, there are people who are like, I fucking love the movies, and you go like, yeah, have you read the comics? And they look at you like you're a moron. It's like, this stuff comes from comics, and the comics are better. But anyway, it's a good movie, and there's a couple parts where my mind was blown. Like, literally blown. Just when you're watching this thing happen on screen, you're like, what the fuck? How am I seeing this amazing thing that I've, never in my life thought I would see? It's like, if you grew up in the 20s and you saw a fucking iPhone, you're like, what the shit is this? How is this possible? There are a couple moments like that. So I do recommend it. And there are real stakes in the movie. They made big choices, and they went, right in the beginning, they did a couple things where I didn't expect. A lot of the movies are really formulaic, so you kind of can very quickly get ahead of it. But there were a couple choices they made totally had me surprised. I did not see them doing that, making that choice, and they did, which was cool. That they took a couple chances in this movie. Fucking hundreds of millions of dollars. Most of the time, people don't take chances, but they did. They took a couple chances, and it was cool. So anyway, go see that. It's good. I'm almost done with my coffee, and when I finish, I'm gonna go get more. I don't know what else is going on. I've making some shifts in my work. So I'm a personal trainer, but a lot of my method is more kind of internal work, working through the why of working through the why of resistance to your health and fitness. And that's what it's more about, is health. I don't give a shit about push-ups. I use push-ups or whatever as a tool for greater understanding of self. So that work is really difficult and challenging and can be very scary and painful for people. But because a lot of and I also work at for the last 3 years, I teach, one of the places I teach is at a live-in rehab for teens. And so you're dealing with drug addiction, suicide attempts, physical harm, eating disorders, just various extreme trauma, depression, anxiety, all that stuff. So that's a big passion of mine, because I relate to that. I have that background. My story is that as well. And I know what not just boxing and martial arts did for me, but what healthy eating, sorry I made that noise. That is the worst fucking thing. My apologies. My sinuses are bad. Sorry, I'll try not to do that. But so anyway, I'm working on shifting my practice, as it were, heavier in that field. It's more of a passion for me. I get more out of it, and I still have clients that it's more just fitness related. But even with them, it's still very much coming to terms with shame around eating, shame around their body. So that's more of my focus in general. But I'm making business choices to shift more to that way too. So I'm excited. I have some big things potentially coming up. So I'm excited for that. And then this Saturday rather, I'm teaching a seminar with these. I also work with these schools, these 8 charter schools. I work with their staff. I teach their teachers, kickboxing or boot camp type classes. I hate that word, but excuse me. And so through them, they're doing for some of their high school senior girls, doing a self-defense seminar. Pardon me. Very burpy today. Don't judge me. Everybody burps, you fucks. But I'm doing, I was asked to come in and do a session with them on self-defense, which I don't know where I was going with that. I am very passionate about real, practical, effective, real self-defense, especially for younger people and especially for women, is a big passion. And I'm really thrilled and honored that I was asked to come in and help with that. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. I'm going to do these. I'm back on schedule with a lot of things, but including with PORB. So I think I'm going to stick with doing these Wednesday mornings. So the audio will go up Wednesday morning, and then I think the video will either be Wednesday night or Thursday morning. There'll be a little gap because I always have to put the video together. But so anyway, so I'm doing that Sunday. So, since the court stuff is finished, a big kind of fog has cleared, and I'm moving forward again. In these last 6 months, just fucking incredibly buried under depression and stress and anxiety, really intense, really, really intense, because it was going back, going to court, especially after the first court appearance went really awful. My son is everything. He's the only thing I care about. Everything else is after him. So all of my decisions are for him. Everything I do, every single thing, everything I think, everything is for him. So that there was any kind of turmoil or possible jeopardy of that, it was bad. It was really fucking me up. And it also goes back to my own childhood and really, really terrible things that happened there. So that's, when I say triggering, I mean like actual triggering, not like how people use triggering commonly, which is like it just bothers them, but like literal trigger, where subconsciously my entire self and world was upturned and scary and dangerous, and brought me back to an awful place. So, coping with that, again, I'm, pretty isolated, not just by choice. I mean, some of that is just my experiences in life, and that's kind of how I've learned to be. But just in general, I don't have a big family or much family around. And then I don't have a lot of friends. And then, as you get older, it's difficult spending time. I don't have disposable time or disposable income, which, my friends, most of my friends, that's what they have. If you don't have kids and you don't have a business, and no, this is not a slight, this is just the reality. If you don't have those things, then all of your time is disposable and all of your money is disposable. Even if you got it towards bills and whatever, you can basically do whatever the fuck you want. And that is not my life at all. So I don't want to say at all. It is a little bit. I'm making this podcast. But so I was really, really bad, and coping with not working out, which is also like a little bit of like self-harm, and eating really bad, really fucking bad. I put on 16, 18 pounds. I don't know if you can see it in my face. So it's fucking in my belly for sure. And my ass is all jiggly again. But it's fine. It's fine. That happens. I'm okay with the reality, not just the reality of where I'm at now, but of why it happened. How I allowed myself to be there and what it was for. I needed to do that to survive through this really terrifying thing. I'm sorry. So my phone rang. I'm recording this on my phone because I didn't have a time. I needed to wrap this up soonish so I can clean up and then get to my son. So I don't know where that cut off. So I have the audio, so I may have. Well, anyway, my phone rang. I forgot to put it on airplane mode, and I still didn't put it on airplane mode. What the fuck? Hi, Lumpia. So what was I talking about? So yeah, eating bad. So I'm okay with it having to happen. It's just body fat that's gained. It's just muscle mass that's lost. It's not something that is elusive. You put in consistent work and then it goes back. You'll lose the fat and you'll put the muscle back on. Not back on, you'll put the muscle on. And that's the process, and it's okay. And again, that's part of the work I do with people, is understanding that you have that control. You made the decisions that put you in a bad position, which can be painful to accept and acknowledge and take responsibility for, but it's necessary in order to also have the power and the strength that comes from knowing that I can make good decisions now too. I have that control also. It's not just you're helpless spinning and all these things happen to you. You are doing them. If you're making bad choices, you are making those choices, and there's no shame or guilt or judgment in that. It's just the reality, and you have to acknowledge that reality and understand that those are your choices. Again, no shame. You don't yell at yourself. The practice is to not yell at yourself, to not say you're worthless because you made these decisions. There's no emotional attachment to acknowledging the decisions. I mean, in practice, it's just a reality. Your reality, any reality, all reality, should not be cut with emotion. Like emotions that's a separate thing. Acknowledging a reality is just a fact base. It's like on paper, this is what it is. And you have to have that process of like, okay, well, this is where I'm at. This is how it happened. And this is where I want to go. And this is how I'll get there. That process is essential. So no emotion attached to that, no judgment attached to that, no shame attached to that. You have to be able to practice that process of saying, okay, this is where I'm at. This is why, this is where I want to go. And this is how I'll get there. And then do those things. And then the emotional stuff is just, life is fucking hard, and you're going to make bad choices sometimes. You're going to slack off sometimes. You're going to succeed sometimes, and it's all okay. Everything is okay. So the work with my clients is based on that. And then that is also the work I do with myself. It is a constant journey. It's not like you reach this level and you're like, I did it. I have all the, no, you'll always fight this fight, always. And you'll get better at it, and you'll slide and you'll go back up. But that's all it is. That's all life is. There's no point, if you take my meaning, like there's no, the purpose is to find purpose over and over and over, and to refine your process over and over and over. We don't know what comes next, if anything. We don't know that there isn't anything. We don't know that there is. So for all intents and purposes, this is all we have. So you just work that routine, work that process, and you learn to get better at it. And that's how that works. So that's where I'm at right now. Last week was my first consistent week back working out, eating like a human, and not like a trash person. And it was good. I feel good. 3 pounds came off already. So it's just, more of that. Day in, day out. Even if I make a mistake, it's fine. You go back, and that's that process. So it's important to do that. Hold on, let me get some more coffee. I got, 15 minutes before I need to wrap this up. Don't go anywhere. Lumpia, tell him about something. Talk to him. Why don't you want to talk to them? All right, I'm back. I don't know if I'll cut that out or not. Scooting forward. Hi, Lumpia. Oh, she's so pretty. She is so pretty. All right. Go sit down, fatty. Get out of here. Oh, no. You're heavy as fuck. So what else? What else is going on? I don't know. Maybe I don't have anything else to say. Should that wrap it up? Maybe I should wrap it up. It's probably pretty good. Well, thank you guys for listening. I will be back next week. We're going to do these every Wednesday. It's just there. Hold me to that. We're doing them every Wednesday. Your favorite podcast. Oh, boy. Your favorite podcast, PORB. Like and subscribe. And on YouTube, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. Hit me up on Twitter if you want to talk to me or yell at me or ask me questions, at Graham Baker. Hit me up on Instagram at Instagram Baker. My website, grahambaker.com. Sense a theme here. And yeah. All right. Peace.